would like to say hello to our dear guests, Alon, Chen, and Yorai, your AI. So we were having a little chat around it yesterday evening. So I look forward to this chat. So we have formatted it in the form of a pretty free flow, comfortable fireside chat. Unfortunately, we don't have the fire, but just imagine we do. So my name is Pınar Kulacz. I'm the Executive Director of Innovation at Garage Innovation Hub in Arçelik Global. And today I have two esteemed guests with me. One of them is the startup co-founder Alon Chen from Tastewise. Tastewise is a food data platform and is using AI in an impeccable way, which we will hear more about later. And Yorai is one of the GPs of a very interesting VC that is investing in early stage AI startups. And they differ in many, many ways, which I hope to hear from him. Welcome again. And with no further ado, I would like to ask you to introduce yourselves one by one. So shall we start with you, Alon?
Yes, thanks, Pınar, for having us, and thanks for the introduction. I'm Alon. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Tastewise. We're helping the largest food brands in the world to basically come up with new food products that people actually need and want. So we're leveraging AI, and we will be talking about that later on. Formerly to that, I was the Chief Marketing Officer for Google in Israel and Greece, and my passion is really bringing cutting-edge technology to solving business and marketing challenges. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. So shall we move on to Yorai?
Hi, everybody. It's great to be here again. Big fan of TRAI and always love to take part in the AI week. And of course, always a good thing to, promote and foster the relationships with Turkey, a country that we all love and people that we love very much here in Israel. And I'm very happy to be here. A word about myself. I'm a general partner at Disruptive AI, a fund that we've established in order to be a home for all those entrepreneurs that are focused and specialized on AI, that are looking for AI technologies to leverage it and take it forward to scale and to gain those performances only achieved by machine learning. Before that, I took my part in the service in the Israeli IDF, working on the data and algorithms and mainly in R&D positions. Very happy to be here.
Thank you so much, both of you. So building up on what you have just said, Yorai, regarding yourself, your background, I'm honestly pretty impressed by your track record because you're not only an investor, but at the same time, you carry on pretty deep domain expertise. So looking at your CV, one cannot be but awed by what you have accomplished along the years. I would see also that Disruptive AI is one of its first kind. So you are the very first VC that started investing in AI startups only, even in Israel, and which we know as a very, very strong startup ecosystem with all the strong VCs in startups. So I would like to know, what does Disruptive AI do differently when you compare yourself to other early stage investors in your domain?
Sure. So from few directions. The first one is not related to AI. It's our nature and our culture in Disruptive AI. We are really senior partners that will accept me. They were all founders themselves, established huge companies that were acquired and made growth. And they have their experience of a founder. So when they meet a founder, when we meet a founder, we know how to speak in his level, and we actually know what is going through his process on our own feeling. This is like a major thing, but in Israel, it's common, but not so much, and all over the world, it's kind of a unique. This is something we are very proud of. From the angle of AI, I think that when I've established this fund, what I was looking for is to build a home for those AI entrepreneurs, those people that use AI and nobody really understands what they are talking about. What is this machine learning, deep learning? It's kind of scary. We think of AI, we think of something, many years in the future, I Machina, all kind of movies that you saw. This is, well, it's nice to think of it, but in real life, as we all know, AI took place and is participating in our potential to scale. And they need to understand that they know that they have someone to talk about it, to build a strategy, someone that understands it. This is what we bring to the table. We can look under the hood, we can, do the due diligence, but then later on, help the company build the strategy and face those questions on how to build a venture properly when there is, data involved and algorithms and sometimes experiments that you're not sure what is going to be the outcome of your experience, and you have to build your venture around it. So in this case, we bring our own experience. We have like 100 years of experience in venture building, and half of it with the AI ventures, I think. So I think this is what we can bring to the table. Very straightforward to the companies we fund.
Okay, so that's actually something I was expecting to hear, but it's wonderful that it gets validated. So I actually can summarize what I heard as your difference is your people. They are mostly ex-founders, and you have the practicality and the practice experience. So I would say that this is the two P's, because in data and AI domain, it is pretty difficult to scale if you don't know how to put it to practice. So I would summarize it as two P's. So you have the right people and the right practice experience. So that's yeah.
Are there any other pieces?
I don't know. I'll turn to Alon and ask him, because he's one of your portfolio companies, Alon. So I mean, you are one of the very few invested good startups in Disruptive AI's portfolio. So would you agree with what you heard? So does the people and the practical experience in data and AI domain help, or how do you experience this difference on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah, so building a company is a challenge, and it takes a whole village. And choosing your investors, very wisely is the only, and the most important thing you can do. In Disruptives, there are our latest investors, and actually all of our other investors are ex-founders and people that actually built businesses. And we're very excited, and I can actually validate it, that they have a great track record of actually building businesses. And I think the AI piece was very interesting, because when Disruptive were actually looking at our technology, at the time we were only available, and our technology was only available for the US and UK. In English-speaking countries, it's always easier to get the models there. And I remember when Yorai came to our offices, he really wanted to know that we have a real, deep learning, pattern recognition, artificial intelligence, because that's the only way that we can actually have our technology that helps food brands, not just in the US, UK, but also in French, right, for France, and in German for Germany, and Spanish for for Mexico and Spain, without having a lot of operational burden. Right? Because if you don't have the right AI set up from day one, your expenditure is going to go up, and your business model is not going to be very sustainable. So obviously the AI experience that was brought to the table, as well as the ability to build businesses, right? How do you build a business? How do you play, the long term, is something that is definitely a big differentiator with Disruptive.
That's actually very valid. And I was smiling when you said it takes a village to build a business. I thought that it took a village to raise a kid. So, being a mom myself, I can assure you, and once I was crazy enough to start my startup when I had a baby. So that those two things don't come together. I didn't have two villages, but that's another topic on another fireside chat. Let me get back to what you just said, and let me re-articulate. I think here, what I heard, and I think the AI startups should hear and understand, is that the support you need when you are building, especially an AI startup, especially if you want to scale it in a sustainable manner without burning too much cash, you need to have someone holding your hand with the AI experience as well. So it's because this is a very specific domain. So you need to go ahead with the right practice, right implementation. So I think this is where I hear from Alon that you got the biggest support from Disruptive AI as we see. I'll carry on with a more general question to Yorai. Yorai, you're active in multiple AI communities. I mean, this is what I have seen when I was Googling. But also Disruptive AI is part of several communities in Israel. But I see that you're also active internationally, like, you're here today, so that already shows. I would like to know, what can AI and startup communities learn from Israel? That is something we're always curious here.
I think something, well, you can say it's about Israel entrepreneurship, Israel innovation. Because we are a small country, we have to look globally. Same here with the community. If I'm, I don't know, if I'm building a community here in Israel, the true value that I can bring to the community is connected with the, with the world. And this is the main thing. That's actually the main thing you want your founders to do. The main thing you have to act with is with a global appearance. And sometimes I see local communities, local AI communities, or other communities, that they are very focused on their own markets. They have a large market. They have enough corporates to adopt technologies. They have enough crowd and community and consumers to meet with the product. And then the products and the solutions are very local. And sometimes it's great. It's great to build a local company. It's okay, but it's a different. It's a different venture. We are looking here to build ventures that are global ventures, meaning that they can go from one region to one region, from Asia to Europe to Africa to United States, whatever it is, whatever it takes. So I think this is the main thing. I haven't opened really an AI community established like TRAI. And I'm already working to connect all the other communities together before I even approach the local communities. So this is a way of thinking. I think this is the first thing to do, look globally. I think the second thing is the personal network. Everything is personal. You have to know in person each one of the members, each one of the friends, and understand what his unique contribution to the community. And if you know that, so you can pull him and help him to engage others, like Alon here. Well, you really have to know what Alon as a person bring to the table and how he can help others to see and learn from his experience and his journey. So if you're not aware of that and you're not looking at the people of the community, you might miss it. And in Israel, everybody knows everybody, so it's very easy. It's part of the nature here. I think these are good takes from here.
Okay. So I think my takeaways is that global orientation is number one takeaway, and number two was personal network and personal contribution matters, and collectively it builds up to a lot more. Than the face value of two. Face value of 1 + 1 is not anymore 2 in a community. So that's what I would deduce. Alon, I'm going to turn back to you with a similar question. So what is your take on the community question? So how do AI startups particularly benefit from these communities best? Are you, by the way, active in those communities? So what is your contribution? What is your takeaway?
Yes, so I think absolutely. I mean, you can't build a venture by sitting in front of your computer without engaging with other people. It can be an online and virtual engagement, right? It doesn't have to be face-to-face anymore. Preferably, I prefer in person, but that's just my own preference. It is really critical because you may be trying to find solutions for things that already been solved. right? And you may find a different approach that will give you a shortcut, which is the name of the game, right? If you move fast, you get execute things faster. You know, it's in real life as much as it is in building AI products, right? Even when you work for a large multinational like Google, eventually people make decisions and they can show you the way to solve things much faster. And same with the communities as well.
Pretty brilliant to hear this from an ex-Googler. So you just didn't tell me that, no, go ahead and ask Saint Google. But there are a lot of real saints out there in those communities, I would say. So I think that's the main difference. So this is the main takeaway. We should not forget that we're living with people and we're producing products for people. So that's the bottom line. So the more people we meet and talk and exchange ideas, the better our products become, I guess. So, well, I'm actually more curious, Alon, about your journey in Tastewise, because it's a very interesting business. But I want to know, there are always very cool stories of AI startups. So they don't come alive overnight. That is for sure, especially if it's an AI startup. It has to sit on some data, right? So it has to start with a data journey. So I would love to know your journey. So how did you end up coming up with this idea? So how did you start? Was the road always smooth? Were there any bumpy rides? How did you overcome them? Mm-hmm. Who held your hand along the way?
So, you know, the road is never smooth. If people tell you that it's easy and it's a walk in the park, they're bluffing. So it's a bumpy road, and it takes a lot of resilience, right? Our story actually started with an idea that came from my mom. You know, my mom is putting the traditional weekly dinner for all of us on a Friday. And I found out that ahead of dinner, she's writing to all of our, my siblings and my nieces and nephews, if we're on a new diet this week, because we used to come for dinner and then we wouldn't eat our traditional food because we changed our diets from paleo to keto to gluten-free, lactose-free. Every other week, someone had a different idea and thought about their diet. So I said, if it's happening in my family's, space, what's happening for the food industry as a whole? How can massive conglomerates like Pepsi and Nestle and Mars and Coke, how do they come about finding out what is their next product, what should be their next flavor, and what should be the next best-selling item that will actually take and storm into the market? So we took a step back and realized that the problem that my mom had on trying to find what are our preferences for when it comes to food and beverage are also there for a whole industry. If you think about it, the food industry is a $10 trillion industry. So always try to find a big industry, right? And the very, very sad fact is that 90% of the innovation in that industry fails. So imagine all these amazing production lines and scientists and food science and food production and shelf space and so on and execution, and then it fails. But the good thing is that if you make it, then you generate hundreds of $millions in the first year alone with a good product. So we took a step back and we said, okay, how can we find out the earliest signs possible for innovation? And how can we bring it to the table at the right time for these companies? And that's what we do today. We look at a lot of unstructured data. This is images, text, context, and we're trying to understand what are people putting on their plate. What is it that they eat and drink? So we do a lot of image recognition to see if there's something interesting in the picture, to see if there's a burger, if it's a plant-based burger, to see if it was consumed with other people around, what was the dining occasion, and all the way to monitoring hundreds of millions of menu items and dishes from restaurants to be able to understand what is up next and what are the consumer needs for the future. And why do they all of a sudden, last week there was a big shortage in fresh corn all over the US. And it mainly happened because there was a cute kid talking about how amazing corn is. So what I want to say here is that Tastewise started as a solution to help identify food trends and what consumers are going to be eating in the future, and is now already serving dozens of massive food brands. And we're helping them basically see the future of food And vast majority of what we see is that it's going to be healthier and more sustainable, which is good news for all of us.
I love the sustainable part, and I love the story with the mom. So it's beautiful and an ending. And honestly speaking, when you were talking about it, I can definitely see that it has not been a walk in the park. I mean, doing the fusion with data and handling multimodal data and a platform like yours is definitely no walk in the park. So that is something I can assure everybody off here. And the other thing I was wondering before I move on to Yorai with a continuing question, Alon. So you are actually collecting data from multiple sources, and you do a lot of NLP that I can see. I mean, you do a lot of text analytics, but it is actually pretty interesting because you will then need to annotate a lot of data. How do you handle this? Do you already have your food idiolect somehow formed? Do you have your own dictionary ready, and in how many languages? So it's something pretty interesting for everybody probably to know. At least I'm curious, because I know that's pretty hard stuff to handle.
Yeah. So here's the interesting thing about our strategic decision was to focus on a vertical, very narrow, just food and beverage. Not go beyond it, not go to cosmetics, not to go to personal care, not to go out to automotive, to fashion, was purely to focus on food and beverage, because we wanted to build this world, mathematical world and representation of eating and drinking, diets and nutrition and ingredients and flavors, and bring it all together is a very heavy lifting. But actually, the focus was our biggest advantage, because today, when you compare Tastewise to any other solution, our precision and our ability to provide data and insights that can actually be acted upon are very, very good. So Yorai mentioned before that there's a lot of conversation about AI, but there's a long way to go before it becomes generic AI that can solve a problem about everything and anything. And so I think specializing is a good thing. And because we were only doing food and beverage, our data set, as well as our algorithms, as the highest precision and recall that exists in the industry. And that actually impacts business. So never fall in love with the AI. Try to build a real business, and maybe AI can help you solve the problem, and also focus your AI efforts where you think you will make a difference.
Mm-hmm. All right, so very good points. Focus. I love summarizing things. I think focus is going to be my takeaway from here. So building up on the similar question with Yorai, I'm going to come up with two questions, one after the other. The first one is, you have heard from Alon about their journey, and you were part of the journey. You've actually poured a decent amount of investment into Tastewise at Series A level. And I just want to know, which roles do you play additionally, not only as investors with the startups in your portfolio, and which role was it with Tastewise? That would be pretty interesting to know. And following on, I also want to know, how do you find the right startups to invest? Because you've been a VC for already 2 years, and you don't have a lot of portfolio companies, but they are really good, all of them. I've gone through each one of them. I love them. So I just want to know, if it's not a secret sauce, how do you find them? Like, if it's not confidential, so.
So let's start with the first part. You use the term hold his hand. Nobody holds your hand. We are not holding hands. Alon is a superstar. We don't need to hold his hand. Okay, sometimes holding the hand is like taking into kind of a track. I hope this is not the way we really help or support our founders. We want to back them. We want to shed some light on some sport, help them with blind spots, help them, to understand the environment and to understand where they are, because we see hundreds to thousands startups a year. We can see what is going on in the industry. We have one eye open to the academic, other eye open to other ecosystems and what is going on in the world. And we try to bring it to Alon's or to the founder's dashboard, and they have to take the decision. We are not holding their hand in no way, and we back all their decision, but they take the decision. Of course, we take part at the board, as all companies way of doing. So this is the first thing. The second thing, we try to help with, because we are here talking about AI, so we try to help here a little bit and give them a little advantage on their competitors, but also environment, the lack of talent. So we try to help them finding the right person, the right talents, because we have a larger network. We try to connect them with companies that might help them or might be clients, because we are working in a larger environment. So I think this is the thing. We are here to back them and to be like, the CEO is always lonely. He goes to sleep. If he sleeps, he tries to sleep. I don't know. He is lonely, even if he have co-founders, and so we want to be there for him and to take tasks for him if we can, take some weight from his shoulder and help. So this is, I think, might be a contribution. Looking at your second question, it's a deal flow building, right? So first you have your networks, and we have a huge networks of founders that send deals to us, and our direct network, and founders that talk about the way we work with them, and then this is our best marketing process. We want to be there for the startup, so our door is always open. We hear everybody, we learn everything, exactly what is on the table. Every entrepreneur, every founder that sends an email, a LinkedIn, a cold mail, I don't know, from India to, I don't know, Australia, we will not invest there. I will not invest in, non-Israel relevant somehow startups, but they get an answer. We connect with them all. We try to help them if we can. And we also help startups that we don't invest in. This is a way for us to learn what is going on, to feel the ground, to feel the air. I think it has an impact, and it makes our decision better. We know better to know which kind of startup we like, which are the founders that we want to work with. It's very important. We are working with people. We are not working with ideas. Sometimes there are startups that saying, wow, but our idea is perfect, and it's exactly what you're looking for. No, I'm looking to build a company with founders that I believe in, that I can work. It's like marriage. I can work 10 years together and build something together. I want to see that I have something to contribute and not just funds, and it sums up to those decisions that we take forward and invest.
Okay. So my takeaway from this is that you look at all your portfolios as long-term relationships, and you take it very, very seriously, and you've got serious absorption power to go ahead and help everyone. That also helps you feel the ground. So this, I would say this is not secret sauce, but this is very good to hear it in this compact manner. Thank you, Yorai. Alon, I'm going to turn to you. You're working with corporates, and you have actually pretty esteemed corporates as your customers already, like from PepsiCo's to Nestle's. And working with corporates, finding the right one to collaborate with, because with AI work, it's more of a collaboration. You're not just going there and selling potatoes, right? So you really have to have a collaboration partner on the corporate side. And it's easier said than done. I just want to hear your experience. So how does it go with corporates? So do you find the right people to work with? Are they ready technically and mindset-wise to work with AI startups and startups in general? So any advice to corporates from your side?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the first thing is, coming from a corporate. So I do have the corporate experience. The most important thing is not to overpromise. Mm-hmm. The other way around, under-promise and over-deliver. People appreciate that, especially corporations. Corporations are very big, and they also can draw, they can give you a bear hug, and it's like sometimes too much. So you have to make sure that you align the expectations up front. And the vast majority of of our customer base is actually large multinationals and corporations. So I think the most important thing is really to find a real business need. They care about AI. Some people in the organizations are being tasked, go bring us the right AI solution, right? That's one thing. But eventually, if there's no business case, nobody's going to pay for that, right? And nobody's going to be able to work with us and allocate the right resources. So the most important thing is to find the right business case. If there's no business case, stay away. I mean, as a startup, you don't have time and money and resource. So you have to be very, very stingy with those. And you have to validate that the organization in front of you is actually serious. And serious is return on investment. If they find, like in our case, if we can help accelerate your sales into restaurants with predictive analytics and AI, of course you'll find someone, to work with you, right? And the interesting thing is not always we go through the innovation teams. Oftentimes we actually go to the practitioners. Maybe it's a salesperson that is selling, a flavoring solution to restaurants, and they're struggling because they can't, increase their revenue or their sales. So they come and they try to find innovative ideas. They bring us, and then obviously we connect to the broader organization and help them activate that. So find a business solution is the only way to succeed with corporations and any business, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So I think when I used to run the data and AI function in our company, people used to come to me and ask, can you do some AI product for us? And I was like telling them, what problem would you like to solve with that? Yeah. So I think this is where you start. So you first show the problem, then you show the money, and then the product will follow anyway. So I think this is more or less the summary that I took away from you as well. So, sadly, we're coming to the end of our panel. That was wonderful to chat with you. I hope to carry on this chat offline, as I told you, Alon, beforehand, and Yorai. I just want to leave the floor to you. So would you like to say at least a couple of words that you want to leave with, especially for the startups watching us? We can start with Yorai.
Yeah, I'm happy to start. First thing, don't fall in love with technology and AI. Solve real business needs and problems. AI is just, is just a solution or just the way you get there. It's not the end, right? So AI is nice, but it's not gonna pay your bills. So start with the business solution, and it's a bumpy ride. So be ready. Get ready for 10 years of a great adventure.
Well, you took my first one. And it's kind of weird to hear me saying it, but I'll say it. AI is part of the magic. It's not the magic. It's an ingredient. It's not a magic sauce that can override all the other bumps and problems. You have to be very accurate on many different checkpoints that you have to take into consideration. So this is like the major take from here. Don't fall in love with AI. The second thing is the relationship. I'm an investor. I suggest founders to build a relationship with their investor, and also with investors that are not already invested in their fund. You can never know in their company. You can never know when is the next time you're going to raise money. Build relationship. It's true for relationship with founders and investors, but also between all the network and the community. Personal relationships.
Thank you so much for your closing words. So I have actually summarized and synthesized what you both said. AI is magical, but it's not the whole magic. The whole magic is building the business solution and building relations. Thank you so much once again for participating. And I hope to talk to you again offline.
Thank you.
I'm sending you both with a lot of thanks. Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
You.